Lesson 7.6, page number 539, having to do with interest. We're going to again continue on with this section as far as being able to do interest and rates and percentages and whatnot. So let's start out with example 1. And this is all going to be about money. So any of you that are in banking or anything will appreciate this whole investing and how much money you'll get back if you invest a certain amount. So let's just deal with some stuff on really simple interest. When we're talking about rate, which would be your interest rate, that's always going to be in a percent. Like you making 4% or 6%, or like some of your savings accounts, 0.5%. The amount of investment that you make, so let's say you put $2,000 in the bank, that is called principal. And then one of the other things that you do is you leave it in the bank for a certain period of time. And the time that we're going to be looking at is 1 year at this point. So we've got in example 1 a man investing $2,000 in a savings plan that pays 7% per year. How much money will be in the account at the end of that 1 year? It pays 7% a year. So what we're going to do, let's just go ahead and draw this again. We've got 7%, $2,000 we're putting in there, and we want to know how much we have at the end of the year. So we change this to 0.07 times 2,000, and that tells us how much we're going to be making in interest over that year. We're going to be making $140. The question is, how much money will be in the account? Well, the money that we put in was $2,000. The money that we earned was $140. So we have $2,000 plus the $140 in interest, which gives us $2,140 that we have in that account at the end of a year. Which brings us to example number 2. We'll get it progressively a little trickier here. But in example number 2, we've got a farmer who's borrowing $8,000 at 12%. So 12%, $8,000. And the question is, how much does he have to pay to the bank at the end of the year to pay off the loan? Well, 12% of 800 or 8,000 is going to be $960. Well, he borrowed $8,000. He's going to have to pay another $960 back in interest, which means when he's all said and done, he's going to have to pay the bank back $8,960. Okay, so next we're going to look at what is called simple interest. Let me put a formula up here. I equals PRT. I equals PRT means interest is in dollars, so it's not a percentage, it's the interest, how much money you make. P again is the principal, how much you invested. The rate is your percentage, and the T again is time. And what we're going to do with time is usually over a year, but sometimes some of the loans are only 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So what they do is they say that a year is 360 days. So if they give it to you in 1 year, just use a 1 for T. But if they say 90 days, it's a portion of that year. So it's 90 out of 360 days. So that might be your time if you're going to be getting your money at the end of 90 days. So if they give it to you in days, just put it over the number of days over 360. So that brings us to example 3. Student takes out an emergency loan for tuition, books, and supplies. The loan is for $600, and the interest rate is 4%. How much interest does the student pay if the loan is paid back in 60 days? So if we use our I equals PRT, they're asking for how much interest. So we're looking for I. The principal is 600, that's how much she borrowed. Our rate is 0.04, 4% is a decimal. And our time is 60 days. So that's 60 over 360. So we're just going to multiply those numbers out. You're going to multiply 600 times 0.04 and then times 60 over 360. Remember, when you do that, when you multiply a number times a fraction, you multiply the number times 60 and then divide by the 360s, because what you've got is your numerators. Well, let's look at 600 times 0.04. That would be 24 times 60 over 360. Remember, this is 24 over 1, so we multiply the top, multiply the bottom, and then we divide, and we end up with 4. So that's how much interest that she has paid over a course of 60 days. 4% of 600 over 60 days. If we just multiplied 4% times 600, that would tell us how much interest she paid in a year. But we're interested in a portion of the year, 60 out of the 360, and that's why she's only paying $4 there. Okay, so let's look at example 4. A woman deposits $900 into an account that pays 6%. If she withdraws all of her money in the account after 90, how much does she withdraw? So we're just going to take our $900 times our 6% times 90 over 360. And when we want to know how much she withdrew, she's making $13.50 in interest. So when we take 900 times 0.06 times 90 over 360, she makes $13.50. She still has that 900 in there. So she's taking out the 900 and the $13.50. Alright, so let's look at what is called compound interest, because most of the time when we take out, or we have interest, it's compound interest, is interest paid on interest. It's not just 6% of $500. If it's compounded daily, that means they're going to give you interest every day, and then the next day it's not only the money you invested, the 500, but it's the interest you made on it in one day, and it will compound daily. Or if it's quarterly, they'll do it 4 times a year, or if it's annually, they'll do it once a year. But I'm going to give you a formula here to use that's going to make it a lot easier than trying to do it the way the book says, because the one way the book says is very long and drawn out. So I'm just going to teach you this way. If you look on page 541 and you want to do it the way they're doing it in the book, that's perfectly fine. But this way, big, long, hairy formula, but not too hard to figure out. So let's look at example 6 and look at the information they gave us. So, our A then will be what we're looking for as far as how much money is in the account at the end of the time. So let's look at this. Our principal is $10,000. We're going to multiply that times 1 plus. The interest rate is 0.06. Help if I put 0.06 instead of. Our N for this one is the number of compounding periods. So if you look at 6, 10,000 is invested, compounded quarterly. So the number of compounded periods is a quarter, which is 4. That means 4 a year. And then we put our 4 up here then with our N, because it's at 4 here, it's a 4 here. And our time period is 1 year. So our time is 1. So there's all of our information. So if you can just do the math, you'll be okay. Do what's in the parentheses first. 1 plus 0.06 over 4, which is 0.015. And we add 1 to that with a 4 up here, times 10,000. Okay. So now we add these two and get 1.015. Take your calculator to the 4th power and then multiply that times 10,000, and we get the same answer that we got in the problem. 154.53 was our interest.